I thought the girl I'd been dating online for 3 months was a sweet, gentle woman, but I never expected her to be the cold, aloof CEO who held my career in her hands. To make matters worse, I had just sent her the message. My bed isn't very big, but it's the perfect size for the two of us. The next second, that very message appeared in stunning clarity on the 4K projector screen during the executive meeting. The entire room went dead silent, and it felt like someone had just hit the delete key on my life. Then, my phone buzzed with her reply. Okay. I just stood there, stunned, as this love story, born from complete social suicide, began its absurdly sweet first chapter. At the company's anniversary party, the newly appointed CEO made her first public appearance. I sneakily snapped a picture of my new boss to send to my friend so he could appreciate her stunning looks. But she caught me in the act and, with an icy expression, scolded me. As an employee, you should be focused on company business, not filling your head with garbage. My face flushed red, and I was so embarrassed I wanted the floor to swallow me whole. To save face, I rushed to the CEO's office the moment the party ended, wanting to explain myself. When she opened the door, I saw a clay figurine on her desk and froze. Wasn't that the figurine I had handmade for my online girlfriend's birthday just a few days ago? It even had my initials carved into the base. When it finally dawned on me, a chill ran down my spine. The new CEO was actually the girlfriend I'd been dating online for 3 years. Once I confirmed that my new boss was indeed my never-met girlfriend, I got nervous and instinctively blurted out, "That figurine. My boyfriend made it for me by hand." Chloe reached out to stroke the figurine's head, a rare hint of warmth flashing in her eyes before she instantly wiped the smile away, her face hardening as she snapped at me. "What's it to you? Don't ask questions that don't concern you. What did you want to see me about?" I rubbed my nose awkwardly, reluctantly pulling my gaze away from the figurine. "Miss Hayes, I wasn't trying to sneak a picture of you on purpose. It's just that you look so much like my girlfriend. I couldn't resist. I swear." Even though I was making up the excuse on the spot, given the circumstances, it was the absolute truth. But Chloe clearly didn't buy it for a second, letting out a cold laugh. "Could you possibly come up with a lamer excuse? With that creepy look on your face, what girl would be blind enough to fall for you?" My face darkened instantly. The thought that I'd made such a terrible first impression on her made me want to drag my friend out for a beating. It was all his fault for pestering me to see the hot new boss. At the same time, I was silently seething at Chloe. She was always so sweet and gentle when we chatted online. I never would have guessed she could be so vicious in person. Besides, how does a girl who claimed to be a recent grad just scraping by suddenly turn into a powerhouse CEO? As soon as I left her office, I pulled out my phone and sent Chloe a cute spanking sticker on iMessage. She replied almost instantly, "What's wrong, honey? Did someone upset you?" The office door hadn't fully closed, and peeking through the crack, I could see Chloe beaming as she typed on her phone, the joyful smile on her face a complete contrast to the Ice Queen persona from moments before. I typed back through gritted teeth, "My boss just chewed me out. She said no girl would ever fall for a guy like me." That immediately got a rise out of her. My phone started buzzing nonstop with a flurry of messages. I glanced guiltily toward the crack in the door, terrified of making Chloe suspicious, and hurried to the restroom to reply. In our chat, Chloe was already tearing into herself. "How could she say that about my sweet husband? That's horrible. My husband is the best man in the entire world. Your boss must be blind. Honey, once we finally meet in a few days, I'll never let anyone bully you again." Right. As if anyone else at this company has ever given me a hard time besides her. I've been at this company for almost 2 years, and now my online girlfriend is suddenly my boss, and my own girlfriend is the one chewing me out. Who am I supposed to complain to about this? The more I thought about it, the more pissed off I got. I decided to postpone meeting Chloe in person. I'd let her stew for a few days to vent my frustration. "I'm a little busy lately. I don't think I'll have any time this month." "What? No, honey. I've been looking forward to meeting you for so long. How can we postpone it?" She immediately blew up my phone, sending a dozen crying emojis in a row. I still hadn't wrapped my head around this soap opera plot where my girlfriend of 3 years was my boss, and I was feeling incredibly frustrated. I just closed the app and stopped responding. My moment of peace came at the expense of the entire company, which was now walking on eggshells. Chloe's mood turned foul. Every department that went in to report to her came out looking like they'd been through a storm. First, it was the sales team, then accounting, one after another getting reamed out. Soon enough, the firestorm made its way to my department. Because of one tiny issue in our proposal, Chloe dragged us into her office and tore into us, her words sharp and relentless. The colleagues who came with me were so intimidated they just stared at the floor, not daring to say a word. Her drill sergeant demeanor was a world away from the sweet girl I knew online. This girl, she really knew how to play the part. I couldn't help but mutter under my breath, nearly saying what I was thinking out loud. Ethan, you seem to have a problem with me. I had to hand it to her. Her eyes were sharp. She caught even my slightest movement. Chloe frowned, staring me down with an air of authority that momentarily took my breath away. I quickly shook my head to deny it. Not at all, Ms. Hayes. I'm grateful for your constructive feedback and will take it to heart. She scoffed and raised an eyebrow. Fine. Good. You're quick with your words. Your proposal skills must be just as sharp. In that case, you can redo the entire proposal yourself. I want it on my desk by the end of the day tomorrow. As my colleagues shot me looks of pity, my brain short-circuited and a stream of curses ran through my head. It was almost the end of the workday, and she was telling me to redo the whole thing by myself and have it ready by tomorrow night. Wasn't this just a blatant attempt to make me pull an all-nighter? Fine, Chloe. If you're going to give me a hard time so openly, then don't blame me for being less than cooperative behind the scenes. When I got back to my desk, fuming, a message from Chloe popped up. Honey, please don't ignore me. I miss you so much. I won't push you about meeting up. We can do it whenever you have time, okay? To save my colleagues from her wrath, I decided to take one for the team. After a few seconds of hesitation, I replied, okay, I'll think about it. Seeing that I'd finally responded, Chloe's messages started flooding in. Oh, that's great, honey. You're finally talking to me again. Honey, tomorrow is your birthday. We don't have to meet, but I have to send you your gift this year. You promised me you would. You can't back out now. She finished with a cute sticker blowing a storm of kisses. In our 3 years of dating online, I'd never given Chloe my address. She'd asked for it several times to send me gifts, but I always refused. I didn't want her to think I was just some guy after her for presents. However, for her birthday each year, I'd send her some small handmade gifts to show I cared. It wasn't that I was cheap, I just didn't want to complicate our simple relationship. After all, she'd always told me she was just scraping by. So how could I accept expensive gifts from her and add to her financial stress? But now that I knew she was a CEO, I didn't have to worry about that anymore. To restore a pleasant work environment for my colleagues, I had to make a small sacrifice and sent her my address. I sent the address for my apartment complex's mailroom, though. The complex is huge, so there was no way she could track me down from that. And so, that evening, I received a birthday gift from Chloe via same-day courier. Inside the beautifully wrapped box was a jar full of paper stars, a subtly luxurious mechanical watch, and a handwritten note on stationery that carried a faint perfume, the same scent Chloe wore. Her handwriting was just like her, elegant and confident, and every word expressed her love for me. Those few short sentences made my heart race. Chloe and I met 5 years ago. She had just gone through a devastating breakup with her first love and, while drunk, posted an anonymous confession on an Instagram story feature. I never used that feature, but for some reason, I clicked on it that day and happened to be the one who saw her post. Seeing how heartbroken she was, I couldn't help but write a long reply to comfort her, and that's how we connected. After adding each other on Instagram, we talked for over a year before we finally decided to start dating online. Even though it was an online relationship, I still had my principles. We could make it official on our profiles and use matching avatars. But no pictures of our faces, no video calls, and no meeting in person. She wasn't thrilled with that at first, but I was insistent, and she eventually agreed. And we've been together like that for 3 years. 3 years isn't a lifetime, but it isn't a short time either. You can't just quantify the feelings invested in that time. I pulled out my phone and sent Chloe a thank you text. Got the gift. I love it, thank you. She replied quickly, I'm glad you like it, honey. I folded every single one of those stars myself. 999 of them, for forever. Happy birthday, honey. Oh, and I made that little keychain charm myself. You have to keep it with you, okay? A keychain charm? I sifted through the stars again, and, sure enough, found a small, handmade figurine charm buried inside. Since it was from her, I did as she asked and put it in my everyday bag. A moment later, another message came through. Honey, are you still mad at me? You haven't been calling me baby or sweetheart lately. I paused. When we first started dating, I called her baby and sweetheart all the time. But ever since I found out she was my boss, those cheesy pet names felt too awkward to say. I had to psych myself up before I could finally manage to type out my sweet baby and hit send. The pet name worked its magic on Chloe. The next morning, she did something unprecedented and bought coffee for the entire company, winning a lot of goodwill. I had the worst of it, though, spending the entire day slaving over the new proposal, practically tearing my hair out, until I finally finished it after 3 hours of overtime. I was so exhausted that I got home and passed out immediately, completely missing the flood of messages on my phone. The next morning, I was woken up by a knock on my door. When I opened it, my building's superintendent was standing there out of breath, holding a stack of packages with a dozen more piled at his feet. What's all this? I was confused. The super managed a strained smile. Ethan, these are all for you, right? About 20 packages showed up last night. They seemed pretty valuable, and the mailroom was overflowing, so I brought them up for you. I looked down, and, holy crap, they were all same-day deliveries from Chloe. A bottle of 82 Lafite, a limited edition rare scotch, a gift box of ginseng worth thousands of dollars. Had she lost her mind? The packages didn't have my exact apartment number, but the super recognized my name since he'd brought things up for me before. I thanked him, and as soon as he left, I grabbed my phone. Because I'd been so exhausted and slept so soundly, I had missed nearly 100 messages from Chloe. She had panicked when she couldn't get a hold of me, and so, she had started frantically sending me packages via courier. I quickly messaged her back, explaining that my boss had crushed me with work and I'd pulled an all-nighter on a proposal, which is why I hadn't seen her messages. It took a long time to calm her down, but she finally promised she wouldn't send any more packages. That night, my manager assigned me to a client dinner. The project was crucial for the company's performance in the second half of the year, so Chloe was taking it very seriously and decided to join us for the meeting. The client's representative was a heavy drinker, and in past negotiations, he'd always drink us under the table. This time, seeing a beautiful woman like Chloe, he was even more brazen. He kept pressuring Chloe to drink. Ms. Hayes, we're at the dinner table, you have to drink. If you don't, you're disrespecting me. How are we supposed to discuss this partnership then? Chloe's expression soured. You could tell she was barely holding back her anger. But after a moment's hesitation, she raised her glass. I remembered the message she'd sent me that morning, saying she was on her period and had cramps. On pure instinct, I shot up from my seat and took the glass from her hand. You can't drink tonight. Instantly, every eye at the table turned to me. Chloe looked completely shocked, and whether it was the heat in the private room or something else, a faint blush appeared on her cheeks under the dim light. Realizing I had overstepped, I sat back down with an awkward, apologetic smile. Then I discreetly pulled out my phone and sent Chloe a text. Baby, it's that time of the month. Remember not to have anything cold. Chloe picked up her phone the instant it buzzed. A happy smile touched her lips as she read the message, and seeing it warmed my heart. Yes, sir. I'll listen to my honey. After that, no matter how much the client tried to persuade her, Chloe ignored him and didn't touch her drink. Naturally, I stepped in for her and ended up drinking quite a bit by the end of the night. After dinner, I was stumbling a bit as I followed Chloe out of the restaurant. A waiter carrying a bowl of steaming soup was walking toward us and was about to collide with her. She was, after all, the woman I'd been dating for 3 years. Seeing her in potential danger, I reacted without thinking, lunging forward to pull her out of the way. Her light, fragrant scent filled my senses as her whole body slammed into mine. My shoulder slammed hard against the corner of a table, and a second later, I felt a soft, warm pressure on my cheek. Just like that, completely out of the blue, Chloe had kissed me. Chloe froze for a second, then scrambled up, flustered. Thanks. Are you okay? I winced, using the table to pull myself up, and shook my head. I'm fine. I'll live. You're always messing around. She scoffed. But despite her forced composure, the faint blush on her ears gave her away. She came over to help me, but she stopped dead when she saw my bag on the floor. I followed her stunned gaze, and my heart dropped. The zipper on my bag had come undone, and the little handmade charm was peeking out. The one Chloe had made for me. What is that? She asked, reaching for my bag, but I snatched it up before she could, blocking her view. It's nothing. Just a cheap little trinket I bought somewhere. Not worth anything. Chloe's face immediately fell. She shot me a suspicious look, then turned and stormed off in a huff. I realized too late that I'd said the wrong thing and wanted to kick myself. Sure enough, a message from Chloe came through a moment later. Honey, does the charm I made for you look cheap? Do you not like it? She followed it with a sobbing emoji. If I'd known tonight was going to be this much of a disaster, I never would have come to this dinner. I had really shot myself in the foot, and it stung. I had no choice but to bite the bullet and try to soothe her. Of course not. It's one of a kind because you made it, and I love it. I sent a flurry of kissy and huggy stickers until she finally seemed to calm down. Chloe rarely wore makeup, not even lipstick, and the memory of that soft, sweet-smelling touch still lingered on my cheek. I couldn't resist touching the spot where she'd kissed me, savoring the feeling for a second before quickly pulling my hand away. I couldn't keep touching it. That would be getting into creepy territory. Anyway, there would be plenty of chances for that later. I had already decided that as soon as I was mentally ready, I would find the right time to tell Chloe the truth. We needed to finally meet in person, but I had a feeling Chloe was already starting to suspect me. I still had to go to work, though. The only difference was that I started deliberately avoiding any interaction with Chloe. But strangely, no matter how much I tried to avoid her, she seemed to be around me more than ever. And each time, she would study me with this searching look in her eyes. It made me incredibly nervous. The guy in the next cubicle couldn't help but lean over and whisper, "Ethan, did you do something to piss off Ms. Hayes? I feel like she's always staring at you." I snuck a glance toward Chloe's office and grumbled, "Of course not." He gave me a sly grin and lowered his voice. "Then she must be into you. When you make it big, don't forget about us little guys." That kind of rumor could affect her reputation, so of course I couldn't just admit to it. So I pretended to scroll through my phone and pulled up a picture of the watch Chloe had sent me. "Don't be ridiculous, man. I have a girlfriend. See? This is the watch she got me for my birthday last week." I was just trying to shut down the rumors about me and Chloe, but I wasn't prepared for my colleague's reaction when he saw the picture. "Holy crap, dude. Is your girlfriend loaded? That's a limited edition Richard Mille. It's worth over $1 million." Hearing him say it was worth over $1 million left me completely stunned. I don't know much about luxury brands. I knew the watch was expensive, but I never imagined it would be worth over $1 million. My colleague's curiosity was piqued, and he started asking more questions, so I quickly faked a stomach ache and made a run for the bathroom. On my way there, I saw a man I didn't recognize go into Chloe's office. The door was ajar, and from my angle, I could see the man inside smiling as he leaned in close to Chloe. "Chloe, I had no choice but to break up with you back then. Please, forgive me. I heard you were a wreck after we broke up, that you cried for days. You must have come back here for me. I know you still have feelings for me. Let's get back together. I promise I'll treat you right this time." Some guys really have a special talent for making you instantly lose all respect for them. The moment Chloe saw him, her expression turned visibly grim. "You're still as shameless as ever, even after all these years. Leo, you really haven't changed at all." Heh, so that's who it was. It was Chloe's scumbag ex-boyfriend. Chloe had told me about him before, but we never brought him up again after we started dating. Why was he suddenly showing up now? But seeing her sharp-tongued response, the fist I had clenched slowly relaxed. Too many people were walking by for me to keep eavesdropping. So once the coast was clear, I continued to the bathroom. At lunch, I overheard some colleagues gossiping. If you ask me, a guy like Mr. Vance is the only one who's a match for Ms. Hayes. Exactly. He's handsome, has high status. They're totally in the same league. And from the way Mr. Vance was looking at her, I bet they'll be back together in no time. I couldn't help but clench my fists, nearly snapping my chopsticks in half as a bitter feeling swelled in my chest. I came from an ordinary family. Our entire family's savings had barely covered the down payment on my condo, and I was scraping by each month to make mortgage and car payments. The gap between us suddenly made me feel incredibly insecure. I had to admit it, Chloe and I were from two different worlds. After wrestling with it all night, I decided it was better to rip the band-aid off now. Since our backgrounds were so different, it would be easier to end things myself now rather than wait for her family to step in and force us apart. I wrote and deleted the message over and over for half an hour before finally hitting send. I wrote, "I've thought about this a lot, and I don't think we're right for each other. I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's break up." It was a 3-year relationship, after all. The moment I sent that text, I felt an undeniable pang of pain in my chest. So this is what a breakup felt like. Now I knew. It sucked. Since I decided to end it, I packed up the $1 million watch, the rare scotch, and everything else she'd sent me and shipped it all back to her. A few moments later, my phone started blowing up with messages. I glanced at the screen. They were all from Chloe, begging me to reconsider. But I couldn't bring myself to open them, afraid I'd get soft-hearted, so I just deleted her contact. The next day at lunch, I heard some colleagues saying they saw Ms. Hayes crying in her office. I felt a knot in my stomach, picking at my food and wondering if I'd been too harsh. My colleague sidled up to me, picking up where he left off. "Come on, Ethan, just show me a picture of your rich girlfriend. The one who gave you the Richard Mille. Let me see the woman of my dreams." I was already in a bad mood and had no patience for it, so I just said, "We broke up." Just then, a familiar voice came from behind me. "What watch?" I looked up and met Chloe's red-rimmed eyes. My heart leaped into my throat, but before I could react, my colleague blurted out, "It was Ethan's birthday this month, and his rich girlfriend sent him a Richard Mille watch. It's worth over $1 million. I quickly tried to change the subject with a forced laugh. No, I was just messing with him. I can't believe he actually fell for it. My colleague started to say something else, but I grabbed him and dragged him away. But I could feel her intense gaze burning into my back long after we'd left. But Chloe didn't follow me, so I could breathe a sigh of relief, for now. It looked like I needed to find another way to throw her off my trail for good. I hadn't even solved that problem when a new one arrived. In the latest round of company hiring, my cousin, Jessica, somehow ended up getting a job here. As the biggest gossip in our family, the moment she started her internship, she took on the mission my mom gave her, to get me married off. To get some peace, I had to tell her about my 3-year online relationship to shut her up. What? An online relationship? For 3 years? Ethan, do you really think I'm a 3-year-old? You can come up with a better excuse than that. She rolled her eyes at me, her face screaming, I don't believe you. Unless you show me some proof. Don't blame me for not letting this go. Feeling utterly defeated, I just pointed toward Chloe's office and confessed, her. She's the one I was dating online. Who? You mean Ms. Hayes? And with that, Jessica lost her mind. After she pestered me into telling her the entire story, she puffed out her chest and declared, Don't worry, Ethan. With me here, I'll make sure you get your girl. Give me a break. If I hadn't been so reserved and level-headed, I would have had her in my arms already. I didn't need her help. I already broke up with her, I said. And she doesn't know who I really am. Just stay out of it and don't cause any trouble. I warned her, terrified she'd try to pull some stunt behind my back. Jessica just raised an eyebrow and grinned. Relax. You can count on me. Yeah, right. I couldn't count on her at all. And sure enough, my damn cousin started making trouble for me the very next day. The company held a welcome party for the new hires. I assumed that as the CEO, Chloe wouldn't bother with a low-level event like this, so I went, figuring I could at least get a free meal out of it. But I had barely sat down when Chloe herself pushed open the door to the private room and walked in. I quickly turned away and pretended to be deep in conversation with my colleagues, my guilty conscience on full display. Suddenly, Jessica leaned in and casually linked her arm through mine. Hey, cousin, what are you doing? Your mom called you and you didn't answer, so she ended up calling me. I quickly checked my phone and saw that I had indeed missed a couple of calls from her. Since it was a department dinner and I was at the same table as Chloe, I was worried she might text me out of the blue, and the constant notifications would raise suspicion. To avoid any issues, I had put my phone on silent. I stepped out of the room to call my mom back, and when I turned around, Chloe was standing right behind me. That girl from before, what's her relationship to you? Why did she call you cousin? Her voice was low, and it sounded like she was trying to hide a hint of hurt. I was taken aback for a second before realizing she meant Jessica. Ms. Hayes, she's my cousin, I answered honestly. She's one of the new interns. That little troublemaker Jessica must have called me that on purpose to get a rise out of Chloe. It was my fault for being careless and falling for her trick. I hadn't told anyone at work that Jessica was my cousin, specifically to avoid any awkwardness. But since Chloe asked me directly, hiding it would only make me look more suspicious, so I had to tell the truth. After my explanation, Chloe's tense expression visibly relaxed. She nodded and went back into the room. I found that a little strange. Just then, a notification popped up on my phone. I opened it and saw that she had just changed her status on social media. The sad, crying emoji she'd had up was now a cheerful, smiling sunflower. Strange. She'd been so moody and hard to read lately. During dinner, someone tried to liven things up by asking Chloe if she was single. Chloe calmly took a sip of water and shook her head. No, I have a boyfriend. We've been together for 3 years. Everyone was stunned, exchanging surprised glances. What? Ms. Hayes has a boyfriend. You have to bring him out to meet us sometime. We have to see the kind of man who could land a girlfriend like you. Yeah, totally. A few of the more boisterous colleagues chimed in. I don't know if I was imagining it, but I felt like Chloe kept glancing in my direction. It made me uneasy. Could she already know the truth? I took a sip of water to hide my nervousness, but then Jessica pinched my thigh hard under the table. Ow! I yelped in pain, and as the whole table looked at me, I had to swallow my annoyance and shoot a death glare at the person responsible. Yeah, you should definitely bring him out so we can all meet him. Chloe looked at my pained expression, and her beautiful eyes seemed to crinkle with a hint of a smile. Okay, she said. I'll definitely bring him out to meet you all soon. I guiltily avoided her eyes and mumbled in agreement. Great, that's great. Later, I happened to look up and my eyes met Chloe's. I wasn't sure if I was imagining it, but I thought I saw a flicker of a mysterious smile in her eyes. But when I tried to get a better look, it was gone, as fleeting as a ripple on the water. After a few more drinks, my colleagues got bolder and started grilling everyone about their relationship status. I was on pins and needles, but I couldn't escape my turn. Soon, all eyes were on me. Ethan, didn't you say you just broke up with that rich girlfriend of yours? I can set you up with someone. My cousin is 24, She's gorgeous, long legs, the whole package. Want me to introduce you? I replied non-committally, sure. The next second, Chloe slammed her hand on the table and shot to her feet, her eyes fixed on me. Ethan, come outside. I need to talk to you. I swallowed hard. I really didn't want to go, but my body followed her out of the room anyway. We had just reached the fire escape stairwell when Chloe pushed me against the wall. Her voice was a mix of playful anger and exasperation. You, Ethan, if I hadn't forced the issue, were you just going to hide from me forever and never tell me the truth? I stared down at her, completely stunned. Chloe was so close I could see every detail of her face. Her sparkling eyes looked like they held all the stars in the sky, and they were breathtaking. My heart started pounding, and my breath hitched. I quickly looked away, trying to hide my flustered state. Ms. Hayes, what are you talking about? I don't understand. She pouted, looking hurt, and pressed herself even closer. Her warm breath on my neck was ticklish, sending a jolt through me that made my heart flutter. After all this, why won't you just admit it? Honey, did I do something wrong? Are you mad at me? She'd barely gotten the words out before tears started streaming down her face. Seeing her looking so beautiful and vulnerable just made me feel even more conflicted. If I wasn't afraid of scaring her, I would have pulled her into a tight hug and comforted her right there on the spot. After a few seconds of hesitation, I sighed and finally gave in. Don't cry. I didn't say anything because I was trying to figure out if this relationship could even work. She looked up at me, stunned, with tears still glistening in her red-rimmed eyes. Could even work? What do you mean by that? Our backgrounds are too different. We're not in the same league. We're from two completely different worlds. Even if you're okay with it, your family would never approve of me. So we might as well. Her warm palm covered my mouth, stopping me from finishing the sentence. We both froze the instant our skin touched, then pulled away as if we'd gotten an electric shock. It only lasted a second, but I could clearly feel the soft, warm trembling of her hand. The atmosphere suddenly became charged. When I looked into her deep eyes again, the hurt and disappointment had been replaced by a new, firm resolve. If that's what you're worried about, you don't have to be. My parents will love you. At first, I was skeptical. But the next day, when Chairman Hayes and his wife cornered me at my desk, I finally understood what Chloe meant when she said they would love me. Mrs. Hayes cheerfully placed a gift box on my desk, her voice warm and excited. You must be our Chloe's boyfriend, right? You're just as handsome and charming as she said. This is all a bit rushed for a first meeting, so please accept this small gift. We'll make it up to you properly when you two get engaged. I shot to my feet, so nervous I started stammering. Ma'am. No, sir, I mean. Finally, after fumbling with my words, I managed to get out a complete sentence. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. Hayes. Mrs. Hayes let out a laugh, her eyes, just as beautiful as Chloe's, looking at me with the same warmth she'd show her own son. The chairman, on the other hand, stood by with a stern, unsmiling expression that was quite intimidating. Ethan, is it? He spoke suddenly, and I instinctively straightened my posture. Yes, Mr. Chairman. I'd been with the company for over 2 years, so I'd seen the chairman a few times, but meeting him face-to-face in this new context was, frankly, nerve-wracking. Good. Come over to the house this weekend. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding and forced myself to agree. As soon as they left, the entire office erupted. The colleague who had been teasing me about my rich girlfriend was completely floored. Wow, Ethan, you really know how to keep a secret. I knew there was something going on between you and Ms. Hayes, but you kept denying it. The other colleagues around us also snapped out of their shock and started gossiping excitedly. I didn't know what to say. I was completely at a loss. Just then, Chloe came out of her office, confidently linked her arm in mine, and made a public announcement. I'd like to reintroduce someone to all of you. This is my boyfriend, Ethan. I gasped along with everyone else, my heart hammering against my ribs. Just like that, bright and bold, she had announced our relationship. Chloe's hand slid down to intertwine with mine, and she looked up at me with a radiant smile. Now everyone knows you're my boyfriend. Let's see you try to run away now. I smiled back, squeezing her hand gently. I'm not running. Not in this lifetime. The weekend happened to be New Year's Eve, and I went home with Chloe, carrying a carefully chosen gift. The Hayes 3-story mansion was opulent, but it surprisingly gave me a sense of warmth, like a real home. Her parents were incredibly welcoming, so much so that they seemed ready to marry her off to me the very next day. It was almost overwhelming. After dinner, Chloe and I went for a walk along the riverfront, hand in hand, and I couldn't help but voice my confusion. Your parents seem a little too enthusiastic about me, don't you think? Chloe couldn't hold it in any longer and burst out laughing. After I broke up with Leo, I was so depressed they were worried sick about me. They were constantly trying to set me up on blind dates. I threw a fit and told them I was never getting married, that I was going to be alone forever. I was stunned. No wonder. They were terrified their precious daughter would actually stay single forever, so the moment they found out she had a boyfriend, they were eager to marry her off and put their minds at ease. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I couldn't believe I had so easily found my way into this wealthy family. The riverfront was bustling with people under the glittering city lights. Chloe suddenly leaned close to my ear and whispered, "Honey, we can finally spend New Year's Eve together this year." I tensed as I felt the warm puff of her breath against my ear. It sent a ticklish shiver through me that made my heart flutter. Has anyone ever told you not to do that? You shouldn't whisper in a man's ear. My voice was husky as I leaned down, bringing my lips close to her ear. Why not? Chloe asked with adorable innocence. Seeing her blinking up at me with those wide, innocent eyes, I couldn't hold back the surge of emotion any longer and leaned down to kiss her. Because it makes me want to kiss you.